Life in San Francisco is still just life. My physician and confidant dispenses this wisdom from Lonesome Dove along with my happy pills. During the spring of 2014, I sat on the edge of Lake Hamilton and contemplated how to get more out of my non-San Francisco southern small town life. I felt stagnant. I wanted to live and not just exist. As the master of my fate and the captain of my soul, I made resolutions in this watershed moment. I resolved to write more, even if it were just for myself. I paired my passion for horse racing with my love for the written word. My Bible Belt upbringing did not include the track or horses, so occasionally people ask me how I became enthralled with thoroughbred racing. While we were dating, my husband and I went to Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and the track resonated with me quite unexpectedly. I love the original, entertaining thoroughbred names. Among recent favorites are #Bourbon, 50 Shades of Hay, and Far Right, whose name was his post position in the Kentucky Derby. Piecing together the puzzle of abundant stats available keeps the game engaging and challenging. The people watching is exquisite. A glorious, diverse mixture that includes hatted high society and railbirds who might be spending their last dollars looking for a miracle. I relish the post parade, the trumpeter's call, the spectacle of the colorful silks, the beauty of the animals, and the compact power of the jockeys. The race itself is 2 minutes of adrenaline rush as horses' hooves create flying dirt. The thrill of the intermittent big win keeps me returning to the betting window. My first published horse racing piece outlined the complexities of then Triple Crown candidate California Crown. An Arkansas sports blog posted it and later ran several more of my articles. I sent these to a national horse racing blog who welcomed me to become a regular contributor. I wrote my heart out about why Oaklawn Park is one of the best racetracks in the country. I raved about its famous corned beef sandwich. I suggested win-place show dining in Hot Springs and recommended attractions near the park. I provided betting tips for beginners and a horse racing playlist. And then I received photo credentials to cover the 2015 Rebel Stakes, the second biggest race day at Oaklawn Park. The Grade 2 race was one of 16 races in the Kentucky Derby Championship Series, offering qualifying points to the top finishers. The favorite in the Rebel was American Pharoah, a bay colt with a misspelled name. He was also the individual favorite in the Kentucky Derby future wager pool. But the horse racing world was not completely on fire about him yet. He was untested. At this point in his career, he had competed 3 times, an initial loss followed by 2 wins. Next, Pharoah was the horse to be entered into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. But 4 days before the race, his trainer detected a problem in the horse's left front foot, which led to the entertaining Los Angeles Daily News headline, "Baffert reluctantly pulls out of Juvenile." The Rebel was Pharoah's return to racing, his 3-year-old debut in his first race outside of California. He faced formidable competition, including 2 opponents sired by Rebel winners. Storms brewed on the day of the Rebel Stakes, but nothing could interfere with my euphoria. I arrived early to get my press pass. In a move more more fitting for someone 20 years younger. This tag and lanyard still hangs from my dresser mirror. Initially, the track was rated good, but it was downgraded to sloppy later in the day. Mud oozed from my shoes, and my flat hair hung sadly. But I remained ecstatic. When the gates opened for the feature race, jockey Victor Espinosa, in fiction, such an appropriately winning first name would be too cliche, an American Pharoah bobbled for a brief second, slightly dislocating one of Pharoah's shoes. But they recovered quickly and glided around the oval with a beauty that sharply contrasted the dreary day. Frank Miramati, Oaklawn's track announcer at the time, saw early on how the race was unfolding. American Pharoah will dictate his own terms, his strong call emitted from the loudspeakers. American Pharoah ran on a lake, a prep that gave him experience for the Preakness Stakes, the second leg of the Triple Crown, where the sky opened up and poured doom on everyone at Pimlico. But at Oaklawn, during Pharoah's first run of 2015, a minute and a half later, Frank Miramati voiced the conclusion. It's all American Pharoah answering this test with flying colors. American Pharoah will romp home in the Rebel. In a striking performance, Pharoah galloped magnificently gate to wire. I hadn't been so extraordinarily moved by an Oaklawn horse race since Pharoah's stablemate Bodymeister rumbled down the home stretch in the 2012 Arkansas Derby and blew my hair back as I stood by the rail. Pharoah's 6 1/4 length victory affirmed he was a major player. He handled a long layoff, shipping, a misplaced right front shoe at a sloppy track with ease. Predictably, American Pharoah gained more attention after his victory in the Arkansas Derby, which I also covered as a member of the press. And Pharoah's fame grew after winning each of the Triple Crown races, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and finally, the Belmont Stakes. Immediately after becoming the first horse to win the Triple Crown in 37 years, the roar of the crowd was reported to be deafening and sustained. The witnesses, including President Bill Clinton, stood for 20 minutes as they applauded the 12th member of this very select society. Back in our southern small town, my husband and I opened the only bottle of Cristal that has ever graced our liquor cabinet. I continued to remind anyone who would listen that Pharoah started his road to the Triple Crown with us in Arkansas. On that Rebel Stakes Saturday in March, after crossing the finish line, American Pharoah loped around to cool down before entering the winner's circle. An enormous media scrum, the kind the horse would later handle with ease, did not stalk the champ. Pharoah passed me several times. My camera clicked away. I captured images of owner Ahmed Sayat and his sons celebrating and stroking the nose of their winner. I took pictures of Oaklawn's paddock host Nancy Holtis interviewing assistant trainer Jimmy Barnes. At one point, I stood 5 feet away from American Pharoah. Victor Espinosa smiled at me. On that day, I predicted American Pharoah would do well in the Kentucky Derby, but I didn't predict, as some horse racing fans later would, that he would save horse racing, or at least reinvigorate the sport. What I did know is that when I looked in American Pharoah's eyes, as blood still pumped quickly through both his veins and mine, I felt incredibly alive.